In this episode, we look at alerting operations and how security teams turn monitoring data into useful action. An alert is a signal that something may need attention, but not every alert means an incident is happening. Some alerts are early warnings, some are routine notices, some are false positives, and some are the first visible sign of a real attack. Your job, as you learn this topic, is to understand that alerting is not only about generating messages. It is about building a process that helps the organization notice risk, prioritize the right events, reduce noise, and respond before small problems become larger ones. Alerting operations connect scanning, archiving, reporting, baselines, thresholds, tuning, and escalation into a repeatable security workflow. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at Cyber.News in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. An alert usually begins with a condition that has been defined ahead of time. A system might generate an alert after several failed login attempts, a malware detection, a blocked connection, a suspicious file change, or an unexpected administrative action. The condition may come from a security tool, a monitoring platform, a cloud service, an endpoint agent, or a log analysis rule. The alert is not the final answer. It is a prompt that says something deserves review. This distinction matters because new security professionals sometimes think alerts are the same as confirmed incidents. They are not. An alert may be accurate, mistaken, incomplete, or lacking context. A good alerting process helps you move from signal to understanding by asking what happened, where it happened, who was involved, and whether the activity creates real risk. Scanning is one way security teams create alerting signals. A scanner looks for known weaknesses, misconfigurations, missing patches, exposed services, insecure settings, or other conditions that may increase risk. Scanning can apply to networks, applications, cloud resources, containers, endpoints, and many other parts of an environment. The result of a scan is often a list of findings, and some of those findings may become alerts or tickets. Scanning is useful because it can find problems before attackers do, but it also creates noise if the results are not handled carefully. A scanner may report issues that are already accepted, not reachable, not exploitable in that environment, or less urgent than they appear. Security teams need a way to separate meaningful findings from background clutter. Alerting from scanning works best when the organization understands context. A critical vulnerability on an internet-facing server may deserve fast escalation. The same vulnerability on an isolated lab system may still matter, but it may not require the same urgency. A missing patch on a high-value database server is not the same as a missing patch on a temporary test machine that contains no sensitive data. Context includes asset importance, exposure, data sensitivity, business function, compensating controls, and whether exploitation is active in the wild. Without context, scanning alerts can become a long, flat list where everything looks equally urgent. That overwhelms the people who need to act. With context, the organization can focus first on findings that are most likely to cause harm. Archiving is another part of alerting operations that may sound boring at first, but it is very important. Archiving means storing alerts, logs, reports, and related records so they can be searched, reviewed, and retained for later use. A security team may need archived data during an investigation, an audit, a legal review, or a post-incident lesson learned discussion. If an alert was closed too quickly, archived records can help someone revisit the decision. If a user reports suspicious activity from last month, archived logs may help show whether the issue began earlier than expected. Archiving also supports trend analysis. The team can look back and ask whether certain alerts are increasing, whether a control is improving, or whether one business unit keeps generating the same type of issue. Archived alert data must be protected because it can contain sensitive information. Logs and alerts may reveal usernames, device names, internet protocol addresses, file paths, business processes, security tool settings, and sometimes traces of sensitive activity. If attackers gain access to archived alert data, they may learn how the organization detects threats or where important systems are located. That means archived records need access controls, integrity protection, retention rules, and secure storage. Retention means deciding how long records should be kept based on business, legal, regulatory, and operational needs. Keeping too little data can hurt investigations. Keeping too much data without proper controls can create cost, privacy, and security problems. Good archiving is balanced, deliberate, and connected to the organization's actual needs. Reporting turns alerting activity into information people can understand and use. A raw alert may include technical fields that make sense to a tool, but reporting explains what is happening at a higher level. Reports may show alert volume, alert types, response times, recurring issues, high-risk systems, false positive rates, or unresolved findings. Security staff may use detailed reports to improve operations. Managers may use summary reports to understand risk and resource needs. Auditors may use reports to confirm that monitoring and response activities are taking place. Reporting should not be treated as paperwork after the real work is done. It is part of the feedback loop. When reports are clear, the organization can see whether alerting is helping, where it is failing, and what needs adjustment. Alert tuning is the process of improving alert rules so they produce more useful signals and less unnecessary noise. A poorly tuned alert may fire too often, miss important activity, or fail to include enough context for a reviewer to make a decision. Tuning may involve changing a threshold, adding an exception, adjusting a rule condition, suppressing known harmless behavior, or combining several weak signals into a stronger one. The goal is not to make alerts disappear. The goal is to make alerts more meaningful. If a team receives thousands of low-value alerts every day, real threats may hide inside the noise. If the team tunes too aggressively, important warnings may be silenced. Alert tuning requires judgment because both too much noise and too little visibility can create risk. False positives are alerts that appear to indicate a problem but turn out not to represent a real threat or meaningful issue. They are common in security operations because tools often see behavior without fully understanding intent. A backup system may move a large number of files and look like data theft. A traveling employee may sign in from a new location and look suspicious. A software update may trigger a process behavior that resembles malware. False positives are not simply annoying. They consume time, create fatigue, and can cause people to stop trusting the alerting system. When reviewers see too many low-quality alerts, they may rush, assume alerts are harmless, or miss the one event that truly matters. Reducing false positives is a safety issue, not just an efficiency issue. At the same time, reducing false positives should not mean ignoring weak signals entirely. Some real attacks begin with behavior that looks small or uncertain. One failed login is usually not important, but many failed logins across several accounts might be a password attack. One unusual outbound connection might have a harmless explanation, but the same connection after a suspicious file execution may be much more concerning. This is why alerting often improves when signals are correlated. Correlation means connecting related events so the system or reviewer can see a pattern. A single event may not justify escalation, but several related events may tell a stronger story. Good tuning tries to preserve the ability to notice patterns while reducing alerts that repeatedly lead nowhere. Baselines help alerting tools understand what normal activity looks like. A baseline might describe normal login times, common network traffic levels, typical application usage, normal file transfer volume, or expected administrative behavior. Once a baseline exists, unusual activity can stand out more clearly. If a server normally sends a small amount of outbound traffic and suddenly sends a large volume to an unfamiliar destination, that change may deserve attention. If a user normally works during business hours and suddenly signs in from another country at midnight, that may be worth review. Baselines are helpful, but they are not perfect. Normal behavior can change when the business changes. New systems, remote work, seasonal demand, and emergency maintenance can all shift what normal looks like. Thresholds define when an alert should be triggered. A threshold might be based on a count, a time window, a severity level, a traffic volume, a file size, or a number of failed attempts. For example, a system might alert after a certain number of failed logins within a short period. A network tool might alert when traffic exceeds a normal range. A vulnerability tool might alert only when a finding reaches a certain severity and affects an important asset. Thresholds make alerting practical because not every event deserves a notification. The challenge is choosing thresholds that match real risk. If the threshold is too low, the team may drown in alerts. If it is too high, the team may miss early signs of trouble. Escalation is the process of moving an alert to a higher level of attention when the risk, uncertainty, or impact justifies it. A first-level reviewer may close a known false positive, document a low-risk issue, or gather more information. A more serious alert may be escalated to an incident response team, a system owner, a cloud administrator, a manager, or legal and compliance staff. Escalation should be based on clear criteria, so people are not guessing during stressful moments. Criteria may include affected data, business impact, evidence of compromise, active exploitation, privileged account involvement, public exposure, or repeated suspicious activity. Good escalation does not mean every alert becomes an emergency. It means the right people become involved at the right time. Alerting operations also depend on feedback from the people who investigate alerts. When a reviewer closes an alert as a false positive, that information can help improve tuning. When an alert leads to a confirmed incident, the team can ask whether the alert fired early enough, whether the message was clear, and whether escalation happened quickly. When scanning results repeatedly identify the same issue, the organization can look for a root cause instead of treating every finding as a separate surprise. This feedback loop makes alerting better over time. A security program that never revisits its alerts can become stale. Business systems change, attackers change, cloud environments change, and user behavior changes. Alerting rules, baselines, thresholds, reports, and escalation paths need periodic review to stay useful. The main takeaway is that alerting operations turn monitoring data into decisions and action. Scanning helps find weaknesses and risky conditions. Archiving preserves alerts and supporting records so the organization can investigate, report, audit, and learn. Reporting turns technical activity into information that supports better decisions. Alert tuning reduces false positives while protecting the ability to see real threats. Baselines help define normal behavior, and thresholds help decide when activity deserves attention. Escalation makes sure serious events reach the right people before delays make the situation worse. Strong alerting is not measured by how many messages a tool can generate. It is measured by whether the organization can notice meaningful risk, understand it quickly, respond appropriately, and keep improving the process over time.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.